When Okabe calls Ruka a boy, Kurisu makes him sit on his knees for almost an hour. But when he peeks in on her and Mayuri in the shower, she barely does anything. Why? Well, what happens right before this?
親子のわだかまりを解消してやる。
何それ？あんた自称マッドサイエンティストでしょ？空気読んでどうするのよ。
Facing completion of her greatest achievement, the time leap machine, Kurisu finally has to come to terms with the two sides of herself. On one, Christina, the cold-hearted, prodigal, perverted genius, experiment-loving girl. But on the other, Kurisu, this lonely girl who only wanted to be loved by her father. And what she realizes is that one of these sides is winning, and if she doesn't reconcile them, she could lose the other forever. And she knows which it is because it was never a choice. Even if she wanted to, she couldn't stop herself from building the time leap machine. She's too curious, too driven by her hunger and her thirst for knowledge and discovery to let it go for even a second. And so, feeling this inner conflict, she turns to the only person she can, her only real friend, and spills her heart because she knows that he's the only one in the world that truly understands her. And he knows that she understands him. Because right before this, he comes in to find her browsing @channel, exposing her darkest secret. And what does he do? He acts literally exactly the same as he always does.
なら、VIP で安価を出すことの方がいいというのか。
意味がわかる自分が憎い。
So it isn't that he tells her he'll go with her to Aomori. It's that this is exactly what she was expecting him to say, but nervous that he wouldn't.
言っとくけど、もう決定だから、無理やりでも連れて行くからな。
望むところだ。
And now that he's said it, there's nothing he can do to dampen her mood. Not even... So when she tells him about her father, he tells her he'll go with her to Aomori, and what she realizes is that what to do was never even a question to him. There aren't any other options. There's only one choice, and it's the choice of Steins Gate. What she realizes here is not only does he understand her, and she him, but that he's someone she will never have to hesitate to rely on, and that makes him more than a friend to her. So it's very, very important that this happens before the scene where Okabe walks into them in the shower. Because if you remember from episode 5...
もしかして、まゆりさんも使ったりするの？たまに。お願い、二度とここではシャワーを浴びないって約束して、あまりに危険よ。
こっちを見るな。
Whose idea was it to get in the shower together? Kurisu's? I see. Is this what we in the biz call ironic foreshadowing? Because this is after the point where she wants him to see her naked. I mean, not like this, obviously, Jesus fucking Christ, but if this happened any earlier, she might have actually not come back to the lab. When he goes out shopping for the lab party, she's already upset from the pudding thing, but instead of being angry, she tells him to buy 2 puddings and includes a message about Aomori, because she can't even stay mad at him. How could she? She's in love with him. And because of that, Kurisu is able to give him the benefit of the doubt, because she looks at him and she doesn't see embarrassment like she should.
風呂場を覗いた上に買い出しも全部忘れてきたって？ほんと信じらんない。ちょっと岡部。
Instead, she finds relief, which should be the literal opposite emotion, no matter why he looked into the shower, right? Let's go back to the other important scene in this episode.
そのマユシーが1週間前に飛んで1週間をやり直したとするでしょ。マユシーはお話ししたことを覚えてるのに、オカリンは全然知らないってことになるの？だとしたらね、なんだか寂しいね。
俺が？
マユシーが。
Time travel means loneliness, not just for Okabe, but Kurisu. Okabe plunges into a universe that only he can remember, and for Kurisu, the time machine means severing her remaining hopes of a relationship with her father. For them, the time machine can only mean loneliness, but it's a loneliness they can't help but choose. Kurisu can't help but build the time leap machine because she is, exactly as Okabe says, an experiment-loving girl through and through. And Okabe knows this because he's exactly the same, unable to stop himself from using a time machine and peeking into CERN and the doors of fate. When Okabe realizes that CERN has a line to the lab and that they know everything, this is where he really starts to get scared. The lab having a direct connection to CERN, the threat email, Akihabara changing, his life is disappearing in front of his eyes, and it feels like it's all getting closer and closer. What is? Fate, I guess. So as he gets closer and closer and peeks over the edge, it's Mayuri that pulls him back from it, and he decides to not use the time machine.
実験はしない。このことは世間に公表する。
Again and again, we see that even though Mayuri doesn't understand much, what she understands is the human heart, and that is the most important thing in Steins Gate. So here, Kurisu is the one that realizes something's wrong with Okabe, but Mayuri is the one that feels it. Kurisu is the brains of the lab, but Mayuri is the heart. She doesn't say it, she maybe doesn't even realize it, but she feels it. And Okabe pays the consequences. Next time, Psych! Bet you thought I was gonna say we talk about that scene. Next time, our comic relief episode where we explore Kurisu's horrible sound in a brand new episode of Wanging with Weeaboo. By the way, if you like these videos, you'd be doing me a huge favor by stepping on the like button. Stay tuned, and as always, thank you so much for your time, friends.